Thanks, Joel. Yeah, I had him train me on that this morning. Okay, cool. I'll holler. Oh, you know what else he does? My background. Thanks. I'm spoiled. Anchor Baby always does stuff for me, and I forget what all he does. So I told Joel what to do. It's I think that one works. Yeah, that looks good. Gracias. That means thanks in Spanish. What's up, everybody? Lord Bibby 42, nice to see you, man. Space Goes Chase in Tejas. Scatterbrain Chase, shout out. Mr. Pink, Nesio, Agent 48, Paul, Mark. I am live on pilled.net, I believe. Let me check. Hake next. Boom, boom, boom. And yes, indeed, I am. I should be live on punchy.tv/Hake. Good morning, all y'all. Gonna be a fun, loosey-goosey, the Hake Report show, everybody. It is 9:02 a.m. here in Los Angeles, and it's Monday. Everybody loves Mondays. May 26th, AD 2025. Oh, yeah, okay. Sorry about that, Derek. I'm gonna paste the thing. Yeah, just talking a little bit of business. Hello, everybody. Yeah, so you can call in. Some of you guys already on hold. 1-888-775-3773. What's up, Commander Kim? Kicks for Guns Z. Dustin Cross, Jules Verne, Slots and Slobs, Pastor Chatelet. Nice. What's up? Come on, Hank. Sheesh. I know. It's terrible. Live on what's up live on D Live? Elijah. Why do you censor my chats with certain people's names asks or asked? Elijah. Just because of not promoting other people. So we tend, unless it's somebody like literally in the major news like Trump, obviously, or Duck Dynasty's Phil Robertson, because rest in peace, Phil Robertson. Obviously, then he is no longer a competitor. He's in heaven. But competitors and stuff like that, we tend not to promote. Same thing with movies, TV shows, musical artists, things like that. We act like it's a tip. Yeah, I won't read. Why? Why should I read that name out loud? That's a competitor. Ridiculous. Take it up with JLP. Take it up with JLP, Elijah. Because it's not just mine idea, it's JLP's. It's his rule. So you want to call it ridiculous? That's fine. You're the only person I've seen do that. Well, meet JLP, Elijah. Yeah, we don't do that. And actually, I like it because it's old school, it's orderly, it's real. Because people sneak in all their little promotions, and it's out of order. It's very millennial, messy, okay? He's not a competitor, says you. But it's promoting somebody else. It's promoting somebody else without prior permission from JLP or whatever. It's not like we've talked with him before, you know? Had we talked with him before, oh, maybe you could say, oh, you know, a recent guest. Or, oh, he was on his show. And I know that he's been mentioned. We like him, and he likes us. But we got to keep things orderly. It's called being a man. Be a man. So that's just FYI. Hope that helps you understand. You know JLP. Don't act like you don't know JLP. Don't act like you don't know JLP is old school, a stickler. And rightly so, I like that. I like that. Thank you, Pastor Chatelet, for the 111 gold pills. Nit, sit. Yeah, Nit is sit. He's out sit. Pray for Nit. He got sit. Hope I get a call from Rit. Glad he got that energy from God, or it would be a lot worse. Shout out, Nit. Get well soon, beta. That's right. Indeed. Good morning, Jim in Alaska, watching over on punchy.tv/Hake. Speaking of Punchy TV, there will be a premiere on Bond only. So you're going to have to, you Rumble people, I advise, and DLive people, I advise and request and implore you. Tight rhyme, Hake. Thank you. Ayo, hate, trying to rap. Hake, not hate. Hate, trying to rap. Feel better, Nick. Yeah, Nick got sick. Hate got Nick sick. Yeah, Nick was trying to say this morning, because he got stuff set up, that he thinks he has the same thing that I had last week. Oh yeah, I did have to stay home last week. That's right. Or go away and not do my show last week. I forgot about that. Here I was looking down on him for being sick. As Job stated in Job 12, the comfortable, something to the effect of, the comfortable despise the suffering. Something like that. The people who are comfortable, they despise those who are suffering. Even though I just got through being sick and took my day off kind of last week. It's terrible. Anytime somebody has a beta back, anyway, I mentioned that. We read that back when I had Krishan the Dawn on the show. Anyway, guys, yes, it is Memorial Day. Okay? It's Memorial Day. That's why I'm wearing my American flag t-shirt. King of the Cage. Very nice. But mainly, I don't know about King of the Cage that much. My friend used to fight them. But it says American flag, the American Eagle. And so it's cool. You can super chat via buymeacoffee.com/The Hake Report. I have to get things ready over here. So let me do this. I've been dilly-dallying. And we don't really have time to... I don't really have time to dilly-dally. Do I? This is... I wonder if I should go to Baldy. Should I go to Mount Baldy today? Because it's a half day. The office is closed. Did you know? Sage. Oh, no. I'm talking. It's terrible. Okay, so I'll turn that down, and I'll turn this up, and hope that it works, okay? Some of you guys are already on hold, 1-888-775-3773. But anyway, guys, let's just get right on with the show!
1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la.
Hey guys!
The Hake Report, la la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la.
So, how you guys doing? I am fine. I'm doing just fine, all right? And I will be getting to your super chats, buymeacoffee.com/The Hake Report. But is a rough start. That was a rough start today. But I would like to get to a call or two. You can call in 1-888-775-3773. Mark in Los Angeles, California, is on the line here. Mark, thank you for calling.
Yeah, thank you, sir, for taking the call. Happy Memorial Day, and I'll get right into it. I'm not going to name any names because I know you don't want me to.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of YouTubers, well, at least one. I think they're stealing lines from your show, from me. Again, I'm not going to name any names. It's a black female conservative. And the first thing out when I watched her show for the first time today was, "We don't have a race problem, we have a problem race." That was the first line out, which is good.
Right.
I mean, I'm glad she's saying it, but I for some reason, I got to believe she heard it through the grapevine or directly off of your show. So I just made it up. And there she is using it, which is fine,
Yeah.
What I wanted to say further than that was that I think there's a large audience for people, like you and Jesse and others, Donald Trump. There's even in blue cities and blue states, there's a lot of white Christians that aren't getting their voices heard. So when somebody like Trump or even though if the state goes with the blue, there's still millions of Christian white folk who need to hear you, Jesse, Trump, these new YouTubers, a lot of black conservative YouTubers. Now, I don't know if they're in it for the money or if they're just copying from us. I'm not a YouTuber, but from you and people that call in. And I don't know. What do you think? Do you think they're copying, or do you think they're in it for the money, or do you think it's just black fatigue taking over?
Yeah, anytime that something makes a surge in popularity, there's always going to be some people, and you never really, you don't necessarily know who's real, who's not, but just jump on the trend. And so you can't, just because somebody is a Trump supporter or just because somebody claims to support the whites or to support Christians or to support Trump, doesn't mean that they are the real deal. Remember the Tea Party? There were many people, and I don't know if you supported the Tea Party, but I did.
Yeah, they were okay.
Yeah, they were okay. But they turned out to be, many of them, a bunch of rhinos who were like anti-Trump and stuff. So that's,
like Paul Ryan.
Yeah,
Paul Ryan is an example.
People called it astroturfed. I'm like, I'm not astroturfed. Nobody paid me to support this. They're saying stuff that I agree with. But there was a whole lot of phoniness or phony people who jumped on the bandwagon and exploited and faked and pretended. And that's what happens anytime anything is popular. The feds get involved because the feds want to be in on the action. And a whole bunch of they call them grifters. I don't like to use the word, but you could call them that. Get involved, of course.
Yeah. Now, I mean, I don't care. I'm glad they're on the same page as us.
Yeah.
And I don't mind if they steal my line. Right. But it's I don't know. It just seems like a little sneaky. But
I feel like I've seen that around, and I may know what you're talking about. Now, had you come up with that saying?
Well, no, I said it on your show
multiple times.
A year ago?
Yeah, you've said it over there.
Well, I know, but I think the first time I said it was probably a year ago. Yeah. And I never heard it, and I haven't heard anybody say it until recently. Yeah. I've heard people say it, but this girl just started, and that was the first line out. And I'm not trying to say I coined the term. Right. Okay, maybe somebody did say it, but it made sense. It makes sense. And that was why I said it. Now, another issue I wanted to get to real quick, if you don't mind. Okay. The city of Kansas City, the Midwest, right in the center of the United States, has gone way south. I mean, the blacks have just destroyed that city. There was a special on it today that I looked at. I mean, the businesses are closing up and leaving. The crime is out of control. People are afraid to go to downtown KC because of the black crime wave. And if you recall, I don't know if you're a sports fan, but a couple of years ago when the Chiefs won the Super Bowl, when they had their parade, there was a shooting. a black guy killed another guy. I don't know who the victim was, and it took a while to catch him, but they were making apologies for him. It's run by liberals. The city of Kansas City is run by liberals, and
Yeah.
it's becoming a murder capital of the U.S. There are so many bad cities run, by the black political machine that I can't keep track. Now we got Kansas City, we had Baltimore, Detroit, Chicago. I mean, the list just goes on, and I don't see any end in sight. What is happening is in the red states like Kansas, the big cities is where all the bad people go to, and that's why those cities are collapsing. But the rest of the state, which is mostly rural, are conservative white people, and they just don't know what to do with the big cities. The conservative governors aren't sure how to handle it. Like in the Florida, or where was it? Was that in Florida where they had the prison escape last week?
No, it was George. It was New Orleans, Louisiana.
New Orleans, right? I'm sorry. You're right, New Orleans. You should have. I think we talked about it, but you should have seen the leadership when they had a press conference. The conservative governor, was saying his piece, and the black woman mayor was hiding in the back somewhere until somebody got her attention, and she's just totally unqualified. Yeah. There was some other controversy about her about a year or two ago. I don't remember what it was, but she's a Trump hater and a Democrat, and the city of New Orleans is just a third world pit.
Right. I know that.
I don't know if we could stop this inevitable number change. Eventually, the demographics, maybe not in our lifetime, or maybe so with immigration, and may become a majority. And like you and Hayden were saying, you think the whites are only 40%. Well, that may be because so many of the illegals aren't registered to vote because they're illegal. But if, God forbid, that were ever to change, it would be dark days for America.
Yeah, I know. It's terrible, man.
Yeah. So, well, that's all I got, Hake. Have a happy Memorial Day, and God bless.
You as well. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye. Memorial Day. Can you believe it? Honoring the fallen soldiers. I remember when I was in college, they were talking about Iraq, going into Iraq, Afghanistan, and these other places. And there were these anti-war people who were really just anti-conservative, anti-Bush. But there were some dedicated, really anti-war people on the left and the right. Some of them more reasonable than others. The Ron Paul types, shout out to the Ron Paul types. I forgot my Hake sign. Oh, boy. Just call me Marco Rubio. Little Marco, famously, he took a awkward glance at the camera and then reached for his water bottle. And he went like this. And then he took the drink. This is my Confederate cup. But any criticism of the wars back in those days, people are like, oh, you hate the military. But that's not the case. Criticism of wars is not hatred of the military or of America. Because the American government is anti-America. And the so-called American, right? Trump is trying to change that. He's turning it around. But it's crazy. Memorial Day. Shout out to the fallen soldiers and their brothers who are alive today. I heard that it was I heard that Memorial Day was really for the was it for the Confederates? Fallen Confederates? Was it for the Civil War originally? what some people call the Civil War? I don't know. Different Memorial Days, I've done different things. We do the radio show, and then we go off and whatever. Went down to San Pedro, visited the Big Stick. That's the USS Iowa down in Ports O'Call. But go hiking, tip your hat, look it up on Google or Wikipedia, Hake. No, I don't want to spend all that time. I just want to give a nice greeting, a consideration. As our greatest president, Trump, said, Happy Memorial Day, even to the scum. Even to the scum who have worked to destroy our country. Trump loves even the scum. And he is able to get it off his chest, even on a beautiful holiday. And they act like it's so bad. You know, I mentioned this in Hake News. Oh, let me step away awkwardly one more moment, like Marco Rubio does. Complicated business, folks. I don't see it. I'm going to have to do without, I think. That's okay. It's okay. I'll convince myself that it's okay. So, but yeah, he loves everybody, even the scum. You know, let me read a few super chats and get to your calls and perhaps some stories. Cesar bought a few coffees. Somebody else bought something too. Did I really get this many? Is that right? This doesn't look right. Oh, man. What in the world? Such a boomer. Here, let me do this. I learned this from Anchor Baby. I can correct it. Oh, indeed. I found it. Nice. Yeah, over on buymeacoffee.com/The Hake Report. Amazing shirt. He says, thank you, man. An amazing show. That's kind, Pablo. Thanks, man. Cesar, sup? Hey, good Memorial Day. Yeah, good Memorial Day. That's nice. Good day to you. Good Memorial Day. So since you were practically laughing while reading my last chat about the Apple Pay sound prank, means it's okay to laugh about it. LOL. Yeah. I wasn't laughing with malice, but I do find people who overreact really funny for some reason. That can't be a bad thing, can it? Just don't get giddy. Stay present and aware. Don't get carried away. It can be a bad thing. But anyway, another question for you, Hake. I've been driving for work these days in the city of St. Louis. Another dump. Another crime-ridden dump. Is St. Louis where Georgia, Florida happened? Or am I thinking Minneapolis? Is that Twin Cities? I don't know. Whatever. Since that they had that tornado mess things up over here, there's a huge black population in the areas where the path of this tornado ran through. You ended your sentence with a preposition and misspelled it. But for short, I appreciate it. While driving in those areas, I find myself lowering the volume while I listen to JLP, or even you at times, since I ride with the windows cracked and people can hear my radio. Is that beta of me? Beta! Laughing face with sweat coming out twice. No, I mean, if it is, it's also smart. Maybe. It's also smart. Sometimes the beta way is the right way. It's just pause and let the beta fear pass and still turn it down. To be smart sometimes. There have been times in which somebody's going off and I'm like, I'm too scared to call this person out. But sometimes you're not even supposed to call the person out. Face the fear, but also be wise in not just responding simply because you're afraid. I think. So don't be don't necessarily talk yourself into doing something crazy just because you're scared. And that's a practical fear, by the way, of the blacks, sort of. Although, I don't know, Cesar, I can't tell you. Let the word of God, the Holy Spirit within, pierce your heart. You know what I mean? Know for yourself. Okay. So thank you, guys. Let me double check over here. Lin Yan Chin and GREGGATRON, always supportive. And I think I sent that to them. I shall double check GREGGATRON. Let me click it over here. Just to make sure. Copy link and send to the group. Just making sure I sent this from GREGGATRON. JLP movie. Because he sent a JLP movie. Thank you, GREGGATRON. Very kind. By the way, speaking of fallen soldiers, this is not a soldier in the traditional sense. Rest in peace to Phil Robertson. I listened to Phil Robertson's interview with JLP Talk, with Jesse Lee Peterson, really, I should say, on the fallen state from 8 years ago. It was the beginning of the Trump administration, a couple of months in, I believe. R.I.P. Phil Robertson of Duck Dynasty. Let me actually show this to you, because it's just a little news update from OK Magazine or something like that. It's Memorial Day with Hake guys, and then I'll get to your calls and things. Billy Joel's going through it. He has a brain condition. Everybody's getting brain things. You know, the guy from that one Die Hard Christmas movie, he has some crazy brain thing. Pretty debilitating, it seems like. And I don't know what Billy Joel's going through, but Duck Dynasty star Phil Robertson, gone, dead, 79 years old. The tender age of 79. He had aged quite a bit. Duck Dynasty was a TV show that I never saw, but it has these guys from, I guess, Louisiana. I think Phil Robertson was born and raised in Louisiana. He called himself white trash. He would pick cotton or something with blacks. And he never saw a black mistreated, by the way, per quotations from a statement that he made that JLP quoted on the Fallen State episode with him. It was a Skype, I think, interview. Died at 79 years old, confirmed on Sunday, May 25th, 2025 AD. Corey Robertson shared the sad news, they call this outlet calls it. OK Magazine or something. Article by Jacqueline Roth. R-O-T-H. Christian? I don't know. We celebrate today our father, husband, grandfather, Phil Robertson, now with the Lord. That's how my mother always talked. Went to be with the Lord. You know they're Christian. He reminded us often of the words of Paul, you do not grieve like those who have no hope. It's bugging me that I don't have that thing. Oh, I see it. One moment, real quick, guys. In the meantime, let me just play this real quick. Nice. Okay, cool. Rest in peace to Phil Robertson. Let me get to Jeff in Louisiana, who's on the line over here. Jeff, callers, hang tight. Jeff, how you doing, man? You're doing okay?
Oh,
Maybe
right when you picked up, I was swallowing their own pipe.
terrible.
Man, no, Phil Robertson thing, dude. Oh, man, I live shit.
Oh, here, let me put you on hold. I'll let you. I'll come back. I'll come right back to you, Jeff, in Louisiana. Poor guy. He's from Louisiana too, I think. Robert in Kansas is on the line over here. Robert, thanks for calling and holding, man. What's up?
Hey, yeah, man, Jeff in Louisiana, I love that guy.
Me too.
I try to listen and hear what he's saying. Sometimes it's difficult, but...
True. His nickname is
he's a
Mumbles.
good guy, and I really appreciate... Hey, Hake, every Louisiana man, I'm talking military, it doesn't matter where I was in life, every Louisiana man I ever met has just been the best people ever, bro.
Really?
I don't know why. Yeah, black, white, don't matter what they are. They just, if they're from Louisiana, dude, those guys, I don't know. They like come out of the mud, bro. Like just out of the mud, like fishing and just absolutely connected to the earth. And
Yeah.
I don't know. I love those guys.
Right on, man. I had heard that Louisiana blacks are rude, but I don't know.
Dude.
I don't know if that's right or fair or true or
No,
what.
Well, no, bro. My experience has been that the Southern blacks are just excellent. Like they're very Southern. Like they're like Jesse.
Yeah.
And the northern ones are the ones trapped in those cities.
Yeah.
And the ghetto, and they cause those,
Problems.
They're gangbangers, and yeah, a lot of country blacks, bro. I'm telling you what, like they'll help you just like a white man. They come along. They're just from the ground, man. Like they're not worried about. Anyway, I didn't even call for that, right?
Yeah.
Hey.
Right.
Rest in peace, Phil Robertson, right, brother?
Robertson.
Like, Robertson.
Yep.
Robinson or Robertson?
Robertson. Phil Robertson.
Like my name, Robertson.
That's right.
Okay.
Yep.
No, hey, that guy went hardcore, right? He was a hippie, did all those drugs, and then he came back to Jesus.
Oh, I wasn't aware of that part of his life.
Oh, bro, he talks about it, man. He used to be, like, into the hard drugs and into the rock and roll, into the womanizing, women and drugs and all that fun stuff.
Yeah. Terrible.
He was really
I don't know
into
how
it.
fun it is. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, hey, man, it's what it is. I don't know.
Yeah. People convince themselves it's fun, and then they get hooked.
Hey, bro. Yeah, yeah. Hey, so I got a biblical question for Jesse this week.
Oh, okay. What's your biblical question? You were one of the priority callers, by the way, I think. I don't know if I got to you last time.
I should be priority all the time, bro.
True.
Come on. It's raining here in Wichita.
Beautiful Wichita, but it's humid. Is it humid already? Hot?
Dude, you never know, man. This place is 90 degrees and it's 50 degrees the next day. And
Yeah.
I don't know how these people get along. But
Okay, what's your biblical question?
Okay, so my biblical question for Jesse is the earth flat or round?
Nice. That's one of his hot seat questions. So
yeah.
That's a great biblical question. I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, I think that's a good biblical question, in terms of like what you derive from the Bible, what does it say? And, how does that comport to what we're taught in the modern era?
When you look at the beautiful, crisp horizon, does that look like vanishing? There's no vanishing point. Does it look like vanishing fuzz? Or does it look like a drop off?
So you're talking about looking straight out, not left to right.
Yeah,
so
just
you're talking
straight
about
out.
looking great. So you have a limit to your eyesight. Our eyes are only as capable as they are.
Right.
Just like an eagle might have better eyes than you, or certain other animals, God-given their sight.
Indeed.
So you can see only as far as you can see. So you'll see a vanishing limit, right? Like, so you'll see a ship go over the horizon on the globe Earth, right? Wink, wink.
Yeah.
Then, brother, if you have proper optics, you can bring that ship right back into focus over the horizon for as long as those optics will allow you to see that ship. And we're talking miles that are like 100, 200.
So you're saying that
300.
it's, so to answer my question, does it look like vanishing fuzz, or does it look like a drop-off?
It looks like your eyes can only see as far as they do based on that limit.
So would that be what your answer is fuzz, vanishing fuzz.
So when you bring optics into the equation, you can extend that distance by many miles, even hundreds. Naval operators know this, that you can see a lighthouse from 300 miles away. And,
as long as you listen to JLP, you can't answer a direct question.
As long as you don't understand why Russia is under attack by the entire Western world, then, hey, do you not understand how anything operates? Like, do you know why Russia is under attack? Like, do you know why Ukraine and all that's happening? And you're just like, no, I don't, Robert. It's like, well, dude, you are a force of nature, Hake. You are a competitor to the likes of Alex Jones and such.
Hey, don't be naming my competitors.
Okay, well,
don't be promoting my competitors. He may catch up to me.
That's an honor, brother. That's an honor. That's an honor that you would be in the same space as an influencer, like an Alex or whoever.
Right.
So, yeah. So that's,
you remind me. You reminded me of a certain liberal YouTuber named David, who, when confronted with a question, brought up something completely different. I asked you I asked you vanishing fuzz or drop off on the horizon, and you bring up Russia. The fact that I don't know why Russia is under attack.
Well, let's get back to Russia in a second.
No, we don't have any more seconds.
No. A vanishing fuzz on the horizon. Like you said, I want to be respectful and address your concerns, your constraints, Hake. So so a vanishing fuzz, I mean, there are atmospheric conditions. Like, if you understand, air is a lot of times a lot of water. If God loves one thing, it's water. It's below us, it's above us, and it's in the air. So yeah, water is going to be everywhere, and you can only see so far through the water, even if it's in the air. So yeah,
you know what? I have a caller who wants to talk with you. Do you want to talk with David in Texas?
Oh, hey, absolutely. I love David. Absolutely.
Wait, this is not David in Ocala. This is David in Texas. David in Texas. You're live with Robert in Kansas. Happy Memorial Day to you.
Hey, thank you. It's Daniel. It's Daniel.
Oh, Daniel in Texas. Thank you, Daniel in Texas.
Hey, Robert.
He black. My screener. I think it's Derek, right? Derek says, "Oops." That's his. Okay. That's black for sorry. Shout out. I'm kidding around, Derek. Thank you, man. Go ahead, Daniel.
I wanted to ask because I'm a flat earther too. What is going on with the sun in the Southern Hemisphere with Antarctic, the Antarctic ice wall? Robert?
Your name, sir, is
Daniel.
Daniel or Daryl?
Daniel in Texas.
Daniel in Texas. Okay, Daniel. Well, yes, sir. So as far as the Earth, the rotation of the sun around the flat Earth plane. I think you maybe have looked up those models. So you can see that it's a circle around the flat Earth, and it gets very tight in what we call summer at the top of the top. I say the top, the center of the flat realm that we are in, and then it expands out in the winter, which gives the summer to the outer regions of the flat plane. And so, in terms of like the sun in Antarctica, it is observed as it is, such that, you know, if we could go there, right, if the treaties weren't there, we could go there and observe this, but for whatever reason, it's an off-limits area to the common man, for sure. But yeah, Daryl, I appreciate your
Daniel,
question,
man, not Daryl.
Daniel, did I say Daryl? Daniel. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm trying to understand, for my sake. You're talking about the rotation of the sun between the Tropic of Cancer, the equator, and then the Tropic of Capricorn. All right, and in the Tropic of Capricorn, it's my understanding that the sun speeds up. So it's slower in the north in the Tropic of Cancer, and then it speeds up at the equator, and then going down to the Tropic of Capricorn, it goes even faster. And there's a midnight sun in the north, and the globe people say that there's also a midnight sun in the Southern Hemisphere, but it's impossible on the flat Earth.
Well, if you're calling in as a globe earther,
no, he's a fellow flat earther. Daniel has been a flat earther for some time. He nearly cussed out a ball-tard for getting a flat earther fired from a job one time.
Well, we're all going to be flat earthers eventually, huh? And just enough time.
But he's calling in. He's wanting to understand the model for how the sun works, where you get a 24-hour sun in the Southern Hemisphere.
So we know who. I mean, I'm dropping names, right? We know who Eric Dubé is. I'm sure Daniel knows that.
We're dropping names. We're not dropping names. You're dropping names.
So we know Flat Earth Dave, right? Dave Weiss, who's a Jewish man, by the way, Hake, a Jew, right? A Jew who I actually
Not
know.
all Jews are trustworthy.
Well,
he's one of the ones I don't trust.
David Weiss has put out his models, and that's, as far as Daniel is concerned, I would just say that's what I'm looking at in terms of what the model might be. Now, you could say to me, well, hey, Robert, you derived all of your understanding from a YouTube video. No, I went out for years and tried to disprove what I thought was nonsense.
But what's your answer for what the sun does? Without dropping names, can you explain what you think that the sun does? Because he just mentioned something that he says is impossible. I didn't totally follow because I don't know geography. But
no, well, you have a heliocentric model where the Earth spins around the sun.
My God, man!
Yeah, he's not answering your question. He's just
Robert,
just talking. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Daniel.
Robert, help me focus here. Okay, in Australia, they have a similar day and night cycle, right? To the Northern Hemisphere, like in Kansas.
Right.
Okay.
Robert? I mean,
do
they?
Yeah. All right.
Do they?
There's Australia, similar to.
Sure. Hey, yeah, bro. Yeah. What the fuck? What are you talking about?
Bye, Robert. Daniel.
Yeah. But this is.
I'm following what you're saying. Okay, so the
so
you mentioned.
So what I'm saying is, in Australia.
Way out here.
Is there 12 hours of light and 12 hours at night?
Yeah.
On it. Okay. So that would follow a globe idea.
Right.
But on the flat Earth, I can't wrap my mind around the sun being on the other side of the Earth within that 24-hour.
So the sun would have to
daylight hours.
The sun would have to be real slow to be 12 hours, and then real fast for 12 hours.
Right, and you're talking about a greater distance for the sun to travel.
Yeah.
On the flat Earth model, there's a greater distance. So what I heard is that the sun speeds up, but the sun speeding up is not going to share enough light in Australia.
Yeah.
Right.
No. It would be like 4 hours of sunlight and 20 hours of darkness or something. I don't know. I'm just making up a number to add up to 24.
We know that the summer months below the equator are January.
Yeah.
Right. It's reversed.
Right.
And that's because the sun is in the Southern Hemisphere at that time.
Yeah.
And when I was looking through the American expeditions in the 1830s and 1840s, they don't really talk about they go down there in January, and they're there from January to March, and they don't really talk about the day-night cycle and how different it is. It makes me wonder, was it omitted? Did they not talk about it? Because it sounds to me like it would be a topic that you would focus on.
If it were different. If it were drastically different.
Yeah.
True.
So as a flat earther, this is my Achilles heel. The sun in the Southern Hemisphere. What is the sun doing to linger at any one place for 12 hours?
Yeah, it hangs out for 12 hours, and then for 12 hours it's going around this other part.
Right. So in the month of January, because if it's summer in the Southern Hemisphere, in the month of January...
Yeah. When it's supposedly going around
that's
faster.
When they're sailing around the ice, it's 30 degrees. And the reason they head back up north in April is because it's starting to get cold.
Yeah.
They can't sustain.
Yeah.
And
so that's their fall, is April.
Right.
Their autumn.
Right, exactly. Now it's getting colder. Now temperatures are dropping. So, and as a flat earther, it's hard to find information on this stuff.
Right.
And my point is, I just don't feel like I know anything.
Yeah.
And I was wondering if Robert knew this, what I'm missing.
Yeah.
If Robert knew what I am missing in the Southern Hemisphere, that the sun can linger over Australia for so long.
What were those different areas, those different geographic areas? You mentioned the Tropic of Cancer.
So the Tropic of Cancer is like the equator, but it's in the Northern Hemisphere.
Okay.
So you have the North Pole, and in the first circle, that this is basically the farthest point that the sun will go internally. And then externally is the Tropic of Capricorn, that's below the equator. So, and it's basically the farthest point that the sun will rotate.
So the sun...
Southern Hemisphere.
Okay, so the sun doesn't ever get direct overhead further than that? What is... I'm confused.
It does get direct overhead. It's direct overhead over the Tropic of Cancer.
Yeah.
Over the equator, it's directly overhead.
Yeah.
And in the Tropic of Capricorn, that's the furthest extent.
Okay.
I just don't understand why there's so much daylight in Australia.
Now further than that, the sun doesn't get directly overhead. If you go further north or further south than those.
Correct.
And on the flat Earth, these are circles, obviously.
Right.
On the flat Earth
circles
model.
Anyway.
They're circles, but
it's just bigger. On the flat Earth, the Tropic of Capricorn is the bigger circle.
Yeah.
On the globe model, they're the same size.
Right. Yeah. Tropic of Cancer versus Tropic of Capricorn. Interesting. And so Cancer and Capricorn are references to like the astrology thing, right? So in Cancer is July. That's about the time that it gets to there before it comes back down to the equator.
Yeah, it has to do with it's the relation is to astral bodies because the sun is an astral body.
Okay.
The stars are an astral body, and that's why they use those terms in navigation, Capricorn.
Yeah.
Cancer, because your position is based off of the cosmos.
Right.
Based off of the astrology.
Okay. Yeah. Astronomy more than astrology, because astrology is more like wisdom. But they use those signs or whatever those things. Huh.
And you know why pirates have an eye patch?
Oh, I kind of do, so that they can their eye can adjust in the darkness.
Yeah. It has to do with they use a device called a sextant, and the sextant is like a scope with a measuring device on it.
Yeah.
And they have to look directly at the sun.
Oh.
So they go blind.
Oh, so they literally go blind because they have to look at the sun, and so they eventually do go blind, and that's why they have an eye patch?
Yes.
Oh, dang. Yikes. And
because
the sextant...
That's how
Go ahead.
You would do a calculation between the distance of the sun or the angle of the sun.
Yeah.
You would take the angle of the sun, and then you would do a calculation that would give you your exact coordinates. But in order to do that, you would have to get the angle of the sun, and the only way to do that was to look at it.
Center it in the sextant device thing, and then get your measurement or whatever.
Right. And it has to do with the time of day as well. That's why they talk about minutes and hours and longitude and latitude. Whatever time of day and the position of the sun is going to give you your location.
Wow, that's awesome.
So that's why pirates have an eye patch. They go blind doing that.
Pirates were smart.
They were incredibly smart. And
they were Muslim in many cases?
Pirate doesn't see race, I guess.
Right. I just think of the Pirates of Barbary, and they all looked pretty tan. Oh, Somalian pirates too. Yeah. Dang.
But that's what is going on with the sun in Australia. That's what I don't understand.
Yeah.
It makes sense on a globe Earth, not so much on a flat Earth.
Right. And so when you look at this, my question to Robert was, when you look at the horizon, I don't know if you've ever been to the beach and seen the horizon of the ocean.
Right.
To me, it looks obviously like a drop-off.
Vanishing point.
Yeah, whereas you guys say it's vanishing point. But vanishing point, correct me if I'm wrong, vanishing point, that's just a theory in art. So that you can like kind of figure out, oh, it would eventually vanish at a point. But it's never really a point. Is it? It's more of a fuzz, I would call it.
Yeah, well, I guess they use the term vanishing point because it's just, that's the point that you can't see.
Right, but it's not actually, it's a theory for creating realistic looking art because, you know, the sun looks, no, not the sun, but some of these stars, they look like just points in the sky basically because they're just so tiny. And so you would call it like if the train tracks go all the way to the horizon, it looks, or a road, if you're driving a road, a long straight road, and you have no obstacle in the way, it looks like it's coming to close to a point, but it looks more like it gets fuzzy before it comes to a point.
So should we start calling ballpoint pens ball fuzz pens?
Yeah, because the ball point is no point at all. It's like a huge infinity number of points. You know what I mean?
Okay.
It's not crisp.
We call, so like in a race, should we call like a checkpoint? Should we just call that a check?
It should be a check area because
check area.
Yeah, because the checkpoint occupies actually a full area. It's not a point. It's
well,
like,
here's what we need.
yeah, go ahead.
Here's what we need to do then, James. We need to establish in the government an agency called the Office of Rough Estimates, and you need to be in charge of that.
Right. My point is that looks like a drop off. It doesn't look like it goes on and on forever. It looks like it just drops off. I'm pointing at the horizon.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Well, that's an interesting thing.
Yeah. That's why I call it an obvious globe, because every time I go out there, I'm like, man, it just drops off.
Yeah.
And I know that you can zoom in and see stuff that you wouldn't see with your naked eye, of course. I get that. But regardless, regardless, even that phenomena is consistent with a globe that's huge.
So you have Australia callers. So I want to hear from them what daylight is like in the summer and in the winter.
Yeah.
For them, like their winter would be January.
Right.
Their summer would be. Their summer would be January. Their winter would be July.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
I'd like to know from them what does daylight look like in January? Because in the Northern Hemisphere, daylight in January is less. There's less daylight, and there's more daylight in July. So in the Southern Hemisphere, is there more daylight in January and less daylight in July? And if so, is it significantly less? Because the sun on the flat Earth has a much farther distance to travel, so there would be even less light in a point in the Southern Hemisphere.
Yeah, right. Because it has to go faster across. It would whip across if it were a consistent speed. Oh, here. If it were a consistent speed, it would whip across Australia.
Yeah.
Or it would go slow and then speed up and then slow down for the land to enjoy it.
Right. So you would see the sun multiple times within a 24-hour stretch for a short amount of time.
Yeah.
Because it would just keep passing over the course of 24 hours. And I don't think that's something that happens in Australia.
Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah.
Is in your view, is the International Space Station real?
In my view, no.
Is it really up there?
No.
Okay.
Unless it's hanging by hydrogen balloons.
Yeah.
Which
Right on, man.
Maybe they do stuff like that. I don't know. Okay.
I appreciate it. Great call, Daniel.
Cool.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye. Okay, Jeff in Louisiana. I believe he is ready. Guys, I had to put him on hold there. Jeff, how you doing, man?
I think you put me on hold. 4 years, I ain't learned how to fall down the right pipe yet.
Yeah. No worries.
Man,
Go ahead.
but real quick, another caller added to my comments. I don't know if this answers his question or not, but he was just saying about the daylight in Australia and U.S.
Yep.
You have to take into account that we have times on daylight savings times. All countries don't have that.
All countries don't have daylight saving time?
Yeah, you know where
That's
we
true.
spring forward and fall back?
Yeah, we spring forward and we fall back in order to get more daylight at the end of the day and
yeah,
stuff like that. Something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I could make up for some of the difference. But I want to kind of thank your caller, Robert.
Nice.
For the kind words about Louisiana, because the last call I made about him was kind of rude.
Oh, okay. Right on.
That's why I called in about his gay stuff being weird.
Right. Oh, yeah.
So
I didn't think that was rude, man. I really didn't think of that as a rude thing. I thought that was fair.
But man, Phil. Well, before I get to what I call Phil Robertson, man, that has shown that dude that's a whole prop up. Because first off, my second oldest brother, his first marriage was by Phil Robertson. Phil Robertson married my brother and his wife in his house.
Wow. Small world.
He lives right down the road from me. But when that show come out, the company that produced that show is a small production company from Los Angeles called Garnet Productions. And they went back and tried to find a storyline for the show to try to pump him up. And they said that Phil Robertson was a starting quarterback over Terry Bradshaw at Louisiana, LA Tech, and just quit because he didn't want to play football.
Wow. I vaguely remember hearing that he was an athlete.
Well, I say that's a bunch of bullcrap because Terry Bradshaw went on to play for Pittsburgh Steelers in the NFL and won 4 Super Bowls in the 70s.
Yeah.
So I say bullcrap on that. But anyway.
That's funny.
The point I called him about was, I want to ask you a question.
Okay.
It got me thinking, this is not something just all. But, you know, the majority of black people are afraid of water, can't swim, right?
All too common. It's very common that they cannot swim or they're, you know.
Okay. This is my question. Is Africa has 55 international rivers, over 150 lakes that are bigger than 10 square miles. If they're from Africa, why are they just freaking scared of water?
I think that it's not, I mean, everybody's a little afraid of water, I think. A lot of people are. Even those who can swim.
I mean, if that's where you grow up at, you're out there chasing kangaroos and leopards and whatever else, running that and all those animals. You got to learn how to swim, being from there.
Kangaroos are not in Africa, right? Those are marsupials. Those kangaroos are down in Australia, but there's blacks in Australia too. But but I get your point. I think that it's not genetic though, man. That is a issue of they just never learned to swim, and so they're, and also I think that they don't have the natural swimmer body composition that other people have. I heard that they're less buoyant because they have denser bones and denser muscles and less fat. Well, some of them are fat, but they
have long legs.
Yeah, go ahead.
They have long legs, correct?
They do have long arms and long legs, oftentimes.
I'm just saying arms and legs is all you need to swim, arms and legs.
They get cold easier because they have shorter bodies, though. Their torsos are shorter, so they get colder quicker.
Okay, so you want to let me ask you a question?
Yeah.
But
JLP, let me interrupt you. Pardon me. But JLP learned to swim. He jumped in the river, the creek, and went swimming with his family. So down south, maybe the blacks could swim, but up in the cities, the city pools were racist. They didn't want that grease or whatever.
Okay, well, let me ask you a question now.
Yeah.
It's the way my grandpa taught me. He took me out to, we have a pond in our front yard. My grandpa left his land, so I live there, but we have a pond in our front yard. My grandpa took me down to what we call Prairie on. It's a big boat ramp and big river and everything, you know. It connects to Washita River, where it runs all the way up through Arkansas. But he took us down there as kids. He took us out of the truck. He threw us in the water, swim or drown.
Wow. He threw you in the water and then you had to just swim or drown?
Yeah, he throws you. He did to all his grandkids. Threw us in the water, swim or drown.
That's brutal. That's too tough. I didn't like that. I never had to do that. I mean, I did jump in the water sometimes and fall through the inner tube and traumatized.
Well, my point is, though, if somebody throws you, if you get thrown in the water, you're going to say, oh, shit, I'm cold, I'm going to curl up and just sink to the bottom. Or you're going to try to swim.
Right.
I mean, it's just common sense.
You guys are brutal. That's not the best way. Mark is saying that's the best way to learn. He's laughing. I'm looking at the chat. I learned to swim so I crawled around on the side of the pool just with my hands on the side, and I hung on there that way, and then I started dog paddling and learning how to swim. My dad kind of slowly taught me how to swim from the shallow end. And that's another nice way that's a nicer way, I think, to learn to swim.
I'll tell you what, man. I'll tell you, I'll give you a story, dude. After I learned to do that and swim and shit, I'm sorry, I missed because after I learned that swim stuff, we was down Prairie on, and I was, it was still kind of, it's deep, but it was shallow for me to walk on.
Yeah.
I was walking out, and I felt my foot go off, and then I started kind of paddling up. And I was down Prairie on.
Yep.
And when I turned around to face my grandpa, he stopped back his Ford Ranger, then on tailgate looking at me, and I got my foot hung right up on the edge. There's a rock I hung over. I got my foot hung up, and I was going down. And my grandpa said, "Boy, come on, you can get out of there. Come on, get up, get up." He just said, just said, "Get up." And I was going around, I was like, "Boy, get up, get up." He wouldn't let me drown. He let me sit there a few minutes to figure out how to get out of it.
Yeah.
That's how you learn. You learn. You don't have somebody come rescue you every time you do something.
Right. No,
You have to learn how to get out of it. And that's what he did. He's that kind of, man, these people back in born in the early 30s and before that, they were tough. They learned how to do stuff. It wasn't just,
It's good to teach a kid or learn a kid how not to panic in a situation. Because you calm down and then you realize, oh, you know what, I can get up, or I can get up here, or I can swim, or whatever. I'm with you on that.
That's like you do. I know people now, even today, that don't know how to drive a standard vehicle.
Right.
I learned to drive on a standard when I was 6 years old.
You're talking about standard vehicle, standard stick shift.
Transmission.
Yep.
Yeah, stick shift.
I had to buy the car in order to learn because I was traumatized because I had messed up my friend's car, and then my brother tried to teach me how to drive in my dad's truck, and it went ka-chunk, 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 and I got yelled at, and it was.
I learned to drive on A2 Ford Ranger 3-speed stick shift when I was 7 years old.
Nice.
And that was going to the hunting club.
Right.
And that's my grandpa, man. He taught us that stuff as kids.
Nice.
He taught us how to do stuff as kids. He didn't wait till we got older. And when we was young, he taught us how to do stuff.
Right.
How to rebuild engines, how to work on stuff, how to plant the field, run a tiller, dig a hole. He taught us how to do stuff as a kid because it wasn't just, the world's not going to hand you everything. You got to learn how to do stuff.
Yeah.
And that thing is, it's like, it kind of goes back to a swimming point, is if you have an obstacle between you and something else, the water, conquer it. Don't just sit back and say, well, I can't swim. Every person can swim if they have to learn.
That's right. And they should be taught at a young age. I'm with you.
If you have to do something, you learn to do it. It's not that I don't want to do it. It's you have to learn to do it. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff. There's stuff white people do too. But it's just we have to learn. We can't just.
Yeah.
I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. Anyway, man, I'll let you go. I know you got calls.
Thank you, Jeff. Take care, man. Jeff in Louisiana. Wow. A quick super chat or two, guys. I want to keep up with those as much as I can. Oh, pardon me. Oh, yeah. No. Popcorns. Thump keg. Good Memorial Day to you, Popcorns. Thump keg. Just to clarify my coffee from the other day. Yeah, I had to rush through your coffees, Popcorn. Although I thought that I still did them justice. Mark believes that the Constitution was written by white men for white men. For him to turn around then to turn around and give money to a woman who called the child the N-word, under the idea you're supporting her constitutional right to free speech makes no sense. It's that simple. I'm using his view of things to say it's inconsistent, but I don't know if he means that the ladies don't get the right to freedom of speech. Popcorn, you're putting assumptions to his mouth. Because when we say all men, that includes women. When you say man, that means men and women. Did you know that man is the proper name for man, men, women, and children? Did you know that? That's the proper name. Then they came up with human being. Okay, human being, fine, I guess. Was that Christians who came up with human being? Probably so. But man is enough. And so when they say man walked on the moon or man went to space, the women want to say, women too. But that's because of feminism. So when he's saying by white men, he means it was by white people. In this case, it was men. For white men means men, women, children. Perhaps. I don't want to put words in Mark's mouth like you're putting words in Mark's mouth. But and I'm with you a little bit, Popcorn, though, because women shouldn't. They should be quiet much of the time. But this woman, she was literally telling the guy to mind his own business. And he was following her around and baiting her to say it again. Say it again. Say the word again. And so she said it again. She chewed the bait. Okay. Anyway, it's not necessarily inconsistent, Popcorn. And then, as we all know, men, women, and children who are white are under attack by those who hate, basic American principles of the freedom of speech. You know what I mean, Popcorn Bean? Also known as Corn Kernel. Shout out. Right on, man. Right on. Very, somewhat, I say very, but I mean somewhat interested. Pretty cool. By white men, for white men. Women aren't scary, Hake, says William. That's right. That's right. BWMFWM. BWFW. Which one? Bufu or Fubu? For us, by us. Okay, anyway. Robert in Northern NorCal. Robert in Northern California is on the line here. Robert, thanks for... Oh, Rob, not Robert. Rob in NorCal. First time caller. Thanks, man, for holding.
Hey.
Hey.
Appreciate it, man.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just wanted to chime in on the flat Earth questions everybody was having.
Thank you.
Yeah. So there's a couple of ways. Like, first of all, for the sun going around the outer, like, I'm a flat earther, so
Nice.
the sun going around that outer tropic, you'll see the sun for a certain amount of time, but it just won't go over your head and go around the other way. And long story short, the Globers, they mostly lie. They have access to the money. They have access to the technology. They have access to stuff like that can make a pretty valid lie. And so people are saying that right now because they had...
Oh, cute.
Sorry.
Flat Earth babies.
Yeah. That's right. So there was this other YouTube channel that had a show where they pretended to go down there and say that they had the sun go around Antarctica.
Right. Antarctica.
Air quotes. And but if you look at any generic
and just to clarify, okay,
Yeah.
so they went down to I call it here This is Antarctica. And the sun never went down. It stayed. It just went around.
Well, that's what they said. But
Right.
if the sun goes behind like a light pole, it just completely disappears. And if you look at a time lapse of it, the sun turns into an oval sometimes because
of the fisheye.
It's not real. Yeah.
But that's the fisheye.
Like,
Isn't that the fisheye effect?
well,
look. You're looking at the reflection of this light here, and at different points it gets stretched out. So it just that's an optical effect from the optics, the camera, right?
well, it could be depending if that's what they were using. We don't know exactly what they're using. A lot of people are speculating that they use the Samsung 15 surround screen technology, so that they film all this stuff before, and then they pretend to go down there.
And what was your answer for your fellow flat earther from Texas, Daniel? He had the question about why is there 12 hours of sun for 12 hours of sun and 12 hours of night for this little thing right here that I'm pointing at for the audience, viewing audience, is this is Antarctica down close to the outer part of the circle, and the sun is in the Tropic of Capricorn, going supposedly faster than it would be if it were over the Tropic of Cancer. It goes faster. How are they getting 12 hours of sunlight and then 12 hours of night? Is it just going slower during the 12 hours that it's sunlight and then faster? Not to mention that how does the sun disappear? But we don't have to answer that today. Is it going slower over the time that it's over? Like
when
Australia?
It's closer to the north, pole, and then is it?
Yeah. And then it also has to come
faster.
It also has to go over South America, because South America is similar latitude, I think. Is it if latitude is the right
so that's sorry.
Yeah.
I got two babies here.
Happy Memorial Day.
2-year-old. Yeah, I appreciate it. Happy Memorial Day to y'all as well. So we don't exactly know how everything works, but if the sun and the moon are basically the same size and they're controlled by the North Pole, which we think is a big magnetic rock, like i.e. black rock.
In the center.
So the rich people know about all this.
In the center of the world.
Correct.
The flat world.
Like if you look at a Google wind map, you can go up to the North Pole and see that it kind of the winds deviate up there, but they don't show you what's up there.
Right.
But there's older maps, like from the 1500s, where it shows a mountain up at actual North Pole, and so we think that they just like hid that basically. So going back to the how the sun and the moon moves, it could be that it moves faster down there, when it's wider, when it's making the wider circle, and then it moves slower, because those are all controlled by things that we don't really understand.
Right, but it would have to slow down in order not to. It would have to slow down when it's over the land in order to give the land enough daylight for a day.
Well, I mean, the time zones, if you look at a time zone map and you look at the flat Earth projection of a time zone map, you'll see that the time zones are very different when you go to the southern hemisphere, quote unquote, southern hemisphere and the northern. So the sun could be going faster, but according to their time zones, the time zones are kind of smaller down there. So their
hours are shorter?
It could be that, just the way that the time zones are set up, the sun could be actually going faster down there. But it's not noticeable it's not noticeable to them? Is that what you're saying? Well, yeah, because if the sun's changing speeds, right?
Yeah.
And there's more actual land and more area to cross down there, but yet it's going faster. Hypothetically, it could be down there for approximately 12 hours, you know, and then go back around for approximately 12 hours, and then possibly getting back to the, you know, because even for us, it's like we don't always have 12 hours of daylight and 12 hours of night. Like,
right.
Exactly.
No,
So,
definitely not.
So yes, if you could try to see if you can find like a flat Earth projection of it, you might have to, I mean, I don't know. It's hard to do, but if you look at a flat Earth projection of a time zone map, they're very different down there. I mean, it's all over the board. So but again, this goes into the realm of things that we don't really completely understand. Like all the money is on the globe side. You know, the NASA, the illustration, the CGIs that they have, and the helium satellites that they have. NASA's the largest consumer of helium. So, you know, if you do see something up in the sky, you can, you know, it could be one of those balloons. They have these balloons that they blow it up and it looks like the shape of a space station, and they even have them for jets and stuff like that. Like, I mean, this is all alleged, but
right.
But yeah, so
what a mess. Are you white or Hispanic or Asian or black?
Oh, I'm white. I'm white. Got white babies.
Right on, man.
My fourth one has blue eyes and blonde hair, just like me. So,
right on.
Love the babies.
So you don't, so you don't know why it's what he said either.
For what? Oh, for why the time is different?
No,
the time might be different?
For how the sun can possibly be work down there. It doesn't make sense. You don't have an answer for it because, like you said, you don't have all the answers. You don't have a model for that, or you don't know if they do.
No, it could just be. It could speed up, but if it speeds up,
then you don't have as much time.
Distance, but it has a longer distance to travel as well. So it's not only speed, but it also be distance. So the distance when the sun is closer to the North Pole on a flat Earth projection is shorter than the distance when the sun is closer to the edge.
Right.
So,
I know, but we still have our daylight and at nighttime as normal over here, so it doesn't really make sense.
Well, we do, but it also during the summer we have longer days, shorter nights, and during the winter we have shorter nights. And
yeah, but it just I don't know if you really understand Daniel's concern and unanswered question on this. On the
Australia thing, but
yeah.
Well, we had two questions. They had the Australia thing, and they had does the sun go around Antarctica for 24 hours?
Yeah,
which you can look at it. You can just look at a basic trip down to Antarctica.
But you just threw that. You just threw that whole question away with it was fake. With that video that they made.
Yeah. Well, there's other videos you can find. I'm not going to promote any other videos, but there's other videos you can find that goes through that video that you're talking about, and it points out things that don't make sense with that video. And like, there's one video where it shows like the edge in the sky. So there's a clear, like, you pause it and there's a clear line that goes up to the middle of the sky and makes a 90-degree angle, indicating that it's probably a green screen.
Oh, man.
Yeah, Princess, don't do that, please. I need this. I need that.
Oh, this is it.
I got toothpaste going down the sink right now.
I don't get your guys' notion that the sun simply goes out of view. That's my thing. The sun obviously drops off it obviously drops off below the horizon.
Okay,
it doesn't
that's
make
the other thing I
any
wanted to
sense.
address too. Yeah. Thanks for reminding me. So have you heard of a P1000 camera?
I think so. Well, yeah, no.
Yeah, so there's a Nikon P1000. So like that, again, I don't want to name drop any other channels, but there's a channel where they zoom. They start really far zoomed out, and they pull back in, and they show where show where, so like if you were to pause it right there, right?
Yeah.
And you take a P1000 and you were to zoom in. I think I'm a little bit delayed. I think I'm a little behind you.
Yeah.
But if you were to zoom into that sun that's almost over the horizon with the P1000, you would zoom in so far that you would see that it's still actually above the water.
You'd see the full circle of the sun?
Correct. Yeah.
That doesn't make sense. Then why is it this? You see, let me. Then why do you see the full circle and then it becomes a semicircle and it becomes a sliver of a circle? I forget what that's called in math.
Because that's as far as your eyes can see. That's as far as that particular camera can see.
If as far as my eyes could see, I see it with my naked eye too. If this was as far as my eyes could see, then the sun would become like a tiny point or something. Are you saying the sun is getting so far away that it's becoming like real close and then just shooting super far away rather than just dipping below the obvious globe horizon?
Correct. Yeah.
But it doesn't make sense because why is it a sliver of the sun and then it just disappears?
because your brain has to put together what your eyes are seeing. And so since you can only see that far, that's just as far as you can see.
No.
So you're putting that together, but a P1000 can go past.
So a P1000 can bring the sun back into view?
Correct.
So
and it'll be over.
So in the dark of night, midnight, you can look and bring the sun back into view?
In the dark of midnight?
Yeah.
No, a P1000 doesn't see across the whole flat Earth. Because
this doesn't make any sense.
Limitation. There's a limitation of lenses. Like the way that lenses work is that it takes in as much light that gets to it, and then it uses that stuff to see as far as it can, but it can't see. Like you can't just see across the entire universe just because you have eyeballs.
Yeah, but I don't see how. I don't understand how the sun looks like a semicircle and a portion of a circle the whole time until it just disappears.
Can I just let me see.
Other than that, we're rotating, and then the obvious globe is hiding the sun from view.
Yeah, no, there's videos with the P1000 where he takes that very same sun that you're looking at right there, where it's a sliver, and when you zoom in, you can see that it's still actually above water.
And okay, so in other words, you don't know. You can't really explain it to where I can understand.
Well,
anyway.
You have to look at that other one to see why you
can't explain why it's a portion of a circle. It's a whole circle. If I went to the original video, my original video, I forget when this was that I took that, and I saw beach streams. Where did I do this?
What is it doing?
And I went to, was it Free Palestine video? I'm not sure when it was.
Hold on,
where's the obvious globe?
Let me try to find that.
Anyway, you see the full circle of the sun, and then you see a semicircle of the sun, and you're saying that the semicircle is just my brain playing tricks on me. Not just my brain, but also the camera also playing tricks on us. And that makes sense to you?
Because it can't see forever. Yeah, like you were saying before, vanishing point is just a theory.
Right.
Well, it is. Vanishing point. Vanishing point isn't an actual thing. Like you can't go out and mark, this is a vanishing point.
Yeah. So why isn't it vanishing into a point?
So check out. Can I name drop a channel where they zoom in with the? No. Okay.
No. Yeah.
You want me to send it to Derek?
Sure.
Okay, I'll send it to Derek.
Interesting.
Yeah, because vanishing point isn't a thing. It's not like a line out there that you
it's
can
never
mark.
a point. It's just fuzz. It gets fuzzy.
Yeah, exactly.
And whereas with this, it's clearly a drop off because it's so crisp. It's a crisp, clear drop off.
Yeah. No, I mean, I can understand where it doesn't make sense, but if you look at another video where it does show what I'm talking about, then it would make more sense. because you would clearly, like, you can clearly, there's videos where there's the sun, there's a sliver of a sun, and then it zooms in with the P1000, and you see that the sun is actually still over the Earth. It's not actually vanished.
Nice.
Because the vanishing point for a P1000 is further than the vanishing point of your eyeball.
It's interesting
Right?
how you guys are unwilling to accept what's plain.
All right. Well, just promise me that you're going to look at this video that I sent to Derek.
No
Sound good?
promises. You know who's still mad at
Okay.
me to this day for not reading his book? And it's a tiny little
that?
thin book, Mark in Los Angeles. So I don't promise anything. I got to run,
Sounds
though.
good. I won't hold it against you. Hey, thanks a lot, guys. I've been going through a lot of stuff, and y'all's shows have definitely been helping me out a ton. So I really appreciate y'all, and God bless.
You as well, Robert in NorCal. Take care.
All right. Appreciate it. Bye.
Bye. Interesting. James in Maryland on the line here. James, what's up?
Hey, Hake, how you doing?
Doing fine. How are you?
I'm good. Not half a box into Peter Vella today. And even though I got the same laugh, I scared you last time because you got a little offended with me saying I might punch you in the face because you were like a bundle of sticks or something like that.
Oh, okay. Well, I accept. Nice talking with you.
Okay, thanks.
All
I
right.
want to ask Robert, does the moon gravitational force of the water keep us from flooding on flat Earth?
The moon's gravitational force on our water keeps us from
keeps
it from flooding
Correct.
because it pulls the.
I
you
just
saying-
want to throw that out there.
Okay. Thank you, man.
Right?
It's,
Hey, you said you didn't remember my calls. I wanted to pick your brain as a white man. I'm going to try to remind you. Okay?
Okay.
Okay. One of my calls was talking about the trash men, where they caught me. I'm on a private road. I went across, and the trash men passed me by, but I knew they were coming back out of the neighborhood, so they caught me going across the street. So, yes, they were black, and they said there better be something there for us, so blah, blah. And I said, their job is to pick up my trash. I don't care. But then I put out my best Gatorade in some ice, and they brought my can up to the top of my street, and I was very happy about that.
Right
I
on.
remember telling you about that.
Okay.
I also called you and talked about a time at Home Depot where I was looking for a particular tool, and the Negro in the store said, "It's right. If it ain't there, then we ain't got it."
Nice.
And I talked to you about that, and the guy said, I said, this is the problem with black people. And he kicked me out of the store, and you said, well, you knew that's what you were going to get. Now, do you remember me now, Space Cadet?
Those don't ring a bell, actually. But
Okay, actually, that's cool. I guess you're black as Jesse.
I could be. Those must have taken place years ago, right?
No, not that too long ago.
Months?
Same time I was calling Nick, the anchor baby.
Right.
When you remember me from Nick, but you don't remember our phone calls. That's amazing.
Indeed.
Okay, that's all I had.
Oh, it's good
You
to
can
hear
let
from
me
you,
go.
man. Happy Memorial
Okay,
Day.
bro. Bye.
Bye. Wow. Greggatron in the Midwest is on the line here. Gonna try to get to all of you guys. What's up, Greggatron?
What's good with you?
Everything.
Yeah. All right, I won't be long. I got an idea for your little show.
All right.
You ready?
Yes.
Buckle up, Hake. Buckle up. All right. So, your background on the TV behind you?
Yep.
So, whenever you get a familiar caller, you should have that person's personality or like a trait in the background on that TV, right? So, did you watch the Anchor Baby last week when May said she looks like the Statue of Liberty?
I did.
The old Statue of Liberty, I guess.
Right.
So whenever she calls in, you should display the old Statue of Liberty picture on your TV whenever Mace is talking.
That's an interesting suggestion, man. I shall put
Yeah.
that in my suggestion box.
Yeah, so I just wrote down a couple examples. So when Mark calls in, you'll have Commander Rockwell. When Joe calls in, you'll have the snake slithering on the TV.
Yeah.
If Terry calls in, you'll have like a communist symbol because she's a former communist.
Right.
Whenever there's a Black Hebrew Israelite caller in, you can display them. And who's the Civil War guy? I forgot his name.
Daniel in Texas, actually.
Daniel, yeah. So when Daniel calls in, you can play like some Civil War stuff on the TV. And then same thing with the Flat Earth people. So this only works if the callers are a good sport, but most of your callers are a pretty good sport.
Yeah, you know what? I don't know if Mark is aware that I use this puppet during his calls sometimes.
Right.
But he's never complained about it. If he knows about it and hasn't complained about it, that's hats off to him. But I'd use it, and I almost feel bad, but then I'm like, well, whatever. I don't mean any harm, you know?
Yeah. The only bad thing about it is it might get a little distracting, so it has to be like kind of subtle.
True.
In the background, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not like a full-on distracting
yeah.
image or whatever. But
right.
Yeah, man, that's all I have for you. Get back to your show.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
No big bump today?
No big bump today. He's getting a rain check maybe next month. We're praying. Yeah.
All right, I'm going to try and call him next time he's here.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, normally
right.
Big Bump would be joining me. Thank you, man.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. See you.
All right. Bye. Okay. Joel Friday TV coming up next, guys. Alan in Michigan. Alan, you're live.
Well, I have to apologize. I wasn't going to call in because I just got in about 10 minutes ago from doing yard work, and I thought, I'm going to kick back. No, then I heard the guy with the flat earth. I thought, I've got to call in on this.
Okay, cool.
You and this gentleman have prompted me to look into this. Now, I don't understand it. I'm still starting, but it's interesting that on one side you've got the ball earthers, which I'll say I'm part of,
Yep,
and the flat earthers. And then I noticed, you know what's happening in society? This is called the Hegelian dialectic. You get two sides fighting. You've got blacks fighting the whites fighting the blacks, the Hispanics, and all these, and it's to stir up people in hatred so that the rulers over us can maintain power. The British Empire was known for that, of which, you know, I'm not a big fan of. And I remember when I was young, when they had the space moon landing.
Yeah.
I had an uncle, very intelligent gentleman, who did not believe that we went to the moon, and he gave me a booklet, 8.5 by 11 booklet, and I read it. And I've always had doubts about that. And then I got this flat earth, and I'm thinking, you know what? Would the rulers of the people be so destructive and jealous for their power that they would arrange all this like a big stage play to make us think we went to the moon, to think that we sent up the bimbos in space, a month ago?
Yeah.
Yeah, they would. That's how desperate they are to maintain power over us, that they would lie, that they would use billions and billions of dollars to deceive the people. There was a movie called Capricorn 1, and it was in the 70s or 80s, and it was based on three guys that were supposed to go to Mars, and something happened, and it wasn't possible to do it. And then it shows them trying to escape and everything, and they catch two of them. But one of them actually shows up at the funeral. It's quite an interesting film. And then we got another film called The China Syndrome with Michael Douglas and Jane Fonda to scare us away from nuclear power. Just putting it out there. These people they have practically unlimited funds. Think about it. Black budgets, tremendous technology we have no access to as the common people.
Right.
So I'm just putting it out there, and I'll end the call now. I let other people call in. You're at the end of the day, and I don't want to monopolize the time. But thanks for letting me bloviate.
Interesting, Alan in Michigan. I appreciate it, man. Take care.
Yeah. Also,
Yeah.
may I add one thing?
Yeah, please.
Mark, if you want some fun, if you haven't heard of a very famous, well, infamous poem, it's called The Fable of the Ducks and the Hens. Look it up on the internet, and you'll get a good chuckle on it. So I'll just leave it there.
All right. Thanks again.
Okay. Thanks
care.
for calling me, or
Yeah,
let
yeah.
me call.
Yeah, of course. All right. And Wayne in Texas on the line here. Wayne, thank you for calling. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. How you doing?
Doing well. How are you?
Not bad. I just wanted to talk about a couple of things. Like, I'm a flat earther also.
Really? You're a
And,
flat earther and a
I
pilot.
have the same. Huh?
You're a pilot as well, right?
That's correct. Yes. Uh huh.
Is it
But
true? Is it common among pilots to be flat earthers, or is it not said?
No,
You guys
not
are
at
not
all.
allowed to say.
Not at all. I could get fired for that.
Oh, okay.
But I have a challenge, like the first caller, with when the sun is at Capricorn.
Yeah.
It should, and then when it's at the other one, I forget what the other one is, Capricorn and
Cancer. Tropic of Cancer.
Cancer. It can't, it has to speed up to make it happen, and I have a problem with that. So.
And so
That's my
you share Daniel's conundrum. Daniel, your fellow flat earther's conundrum, or
Right.
conflict about it speeds up. In which case, it would be much less amount of time of sunlight for them.
Right.
Yeah.
I have that problem. So, but other than that, I don't even believe we went to the moon.
So you're a moon landing denier. Do you think the International Space Station is real?
Well, yes, I do. I think it's real, but the distance from here to the moon is about 23,000 miles. But the distance from here to the space thing is 300 miles.
Right, not
So
far.
I don't even think they're in space, really.
Yeah, 300 miles up is not space necessarily.
Yeah. So I don't think they're in space. They're up there, but I don't really think there's something called the Van Allen
belts.
Yeah, that thing. I don't think we've ever penetrated that. That's a magnetic field that we have not penetrated yet.
How high is that? Do you know offhand?
Huh?
How high are the Van Allen belts?
It depends on where you are. It's like closer to the equator, it's closer to the ground, but away from the equator, it's further.
Oh.
But the thing is that that's to penetrate that. NASA themselves have said they've not been able to penetrate it yet. And then NASA, how could NASA lose the footage of the moon?
I don't know. I wouldn't. But doesn't that seem like believable with how inept the government is? When you think about it, they're just a bunch of.
They said they lost the technology to go to the moon.
I could believe that.
How is that even possible?
Yeah, because we don't build quality stuff like we used to. So I think that it's possible.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
I mean, who said that? I've only ever heard that from flat earthers, that we lost the technology to go to the moon.
No, I got that from the NASA site. It's on the site. They said they lost the technology to go to the moon, and they lost the footage of when they went to the moon. They have to get it from radio stations that had it also.
Interesting. Yeah. Huh.
So,
yeah, I don't know. So the
very
Van
skeptical
Allen
about the
belts are
government.
centered at an altitude between 300 kilometers and 1,000 kilometers, or 640 kilometers and 7,500, 400 miles and 7,500 miles, 640 to 12,000.
yeah, it's like a magnetic field.
Yeah, interesting. And so we can't
get
outside of
we
that.
have not transversed that yet. We've not gone outside of that.
So is it?
I think that magnetic field is probably what God refers to as the dome or something like that.
The firmament, the dome.
The firmament. I think that's the firmament.
Hmm.
We call it the Van Allen belt, but God calls it the firmament. I think that's what that is.
Oh, okay. Because when I thought of the firmament as just meaning the sky, the atmosphere. Because when you look up into the sky and you see the stars in the sky, The stars are beyond our sky in my ball-tarred space is real believing model of life. And so the stars aren't actually in the sky. They're way past the sky, but you just call it the sky. So it's kind of like stars in the firmament. I think of it as like just old English language, but I don't know.
Yeah. Why is the sky blue? I mean, you could go in the middle of Africa where there's no water, and you look up and the sky is still blue. People say it's blue because it reflects the water. But if you're in the middle of Africa where there's no water, it should not be blue.
No, it's blue because
it's water up there.
I think it's because doesn't oxygen eventually turn blue, or why is the sky blue? It doesn't even make sense to think that the sky is blue because of the water, because the water is only blue because of the sky, actually. The water is only blue because of the sky. When you and then it turns sort of greenish, bluish, when the sun is setting and stuff.
Yeah. I don't know, man. Lots of questions, man. Not enough answers.
The sun turns. I mean, the sky turns sort of orange, pink, purple. At sunset and sunrise. So
Another question I have is, they say that the moon goes from full to crescent because of the shadow of the earth between the sun and the moon, right? Is that what they say?
No, that's not what they say.
Oh, what do they say?
They say that the moon turns into like a half moon or a crescent moon because the sun is not pointing directly at it from our view.
Oh.
It's only when we rarely have an Earth eclipsing the moon. The Earth's shadow on. You rarely will ever see the Earth's shadow on the moon. It's because the sun is, you're here, and then the sun is way over that way, and so the moon is only lit up half of it, or a portion of it, based on where in relation to Earth the sun is. That's why.
Yeah, because I had a challenge. I'm like, how in the world could I see both the sun and the moon in the same in the same area,
right in the same sky.
Yep. And then the moon is half thing, half crescent.
Yeah, it's because the sun is way over, pointing at it from a, like if you picture this, if you pretend the sun is a flashlight, if you were the sun and you flashed your light directly on the moon, then the moon would always be full, because you would be pointing it directly at you and you're looking straight at it. It's kind of like you shining a light in somebody's face. But if you give your wife the flashlight and then shine it on your baby's face, and your wife is over way off to the right, only the right side of your baby's face would be lit up.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I see.
But fortunately, your wife is not your sun, and your baby is not your moon.
There you go. Yeah. All right. And then another thing I had was, I think the Bible was actually written to men, and men only.
Interesting.
Not to women. And the reason why I say that is because God said that He would make us a nation of kings and priests. So He didn't say He'd make us a nation of queens and priestesses, but kings and priests. And so most of the Bible is really directed to leaders, which are the men, and trying to tell them to get off your butt and become a man. You know what I mean?
Right.
So when it says mankind, like women came and interject, it means both men and women. But really, I think really, because if you go to a Jewish church, you have the Jewish men in one area and then the women in one area. You go to the Muslims, they don't let the women eat with them and all kind of stuff like that, because they're a little bit different. They're not lesser, but they're too emotional. So I think a lot of the Bible is written to men. What do you think?
I think that makes a lot of sense.
That's why feminists hate the Bible so much, and then they want to go and change the language in it, because they call it, what do they call it?
They call it
chauvinistic.
Yeah, various things. I think you're making a lot of sense. There are some things that are for women to learn, to acknowledge, because it says, wives, obey your husbands, and stuff like that. A wife should respect her husband. So there's stuff that's for women, but it's
Right.
it's not for women to be getting all into and preaching. It's not even really fitting
Right.
when men get all
Right.
into the Bible and preachy over it. It's not
Yeah.
it's not normal.
Yeah, I also think that women, when they become feminists
Yeah.
and they try to become like men, they actually become feminist chauvinist pigs.
I know. So true, man.
So like they reverse the whole thing. Like men used to be very chauvinistic and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But now women have become, unfortunately, very chauvinistic and very pushy and all that kind of stuff like that.
Yeah.
And they've been taking advantage of men and all. I think it's reversed now, and they hide it from us.
That's like, you know, the narrative of how whites were and they may have been towards blacks. The blacks are now turning that way towards the whites, and and maybe worse. And so I think that you become what you hate, even if what you hate was a projection. You're projecting your hell onto the world. Interesting, man.
That makes sense.
Great call.
Definitely. Yeah, all right, man. Hey, nice talking to you.
You as well.
You got more callers?
I got to wrap up, actually. I can't get to most of my callers.
Nice talking to you. I love you, bro.
Thank you, man. You too.
Bye.
Bye. Wayne in Texas from St. Lucia or Lucia. The rest of the super chatters and callers, I cannot get to you all. I would like to read at least one, though, guys. At least one or two of these super chats because I'm always remiss. Commander Kim says, with a rumble rant, ask Robert where he's going. He's telling you where he's been. Robert, go forgive your mama and walk north. Start a GoFundMe, says Commander Kim. Very nice. And also from Commander Kim, oh yeah, Tweak said, you should have a chat with Flat Earth Dave, Hake. I did chat with him. He told me about that this thing doesn't actually drop off, but everything that he told me is consistent with the drop off. But thank you. Maybe I'll talk with him again, I guess. I don't know. Whatever. He was unconvincing. He didn't really. He explained, oh, you can zoom in and see dolphins on the horizon. So dolphins are able to jump higher than Mount Everest. I should have asked him, but I didn't ask him how high we were when we were looking at those supposed dolphins jumping above the horizon. Tyrant Soares wrecked. Stay present, because being present is a gift. Thank you, sir. He also says, la, la, la. Very nice. And I see there was a coffee from Cesar about the Flat Earth talk. Since I drive for a living these days, I wanted to throw something towards the Flat Earth talk. Since I drive for a living these days doing road mapping with a camera on top, I have less than a minute, so no music, guys. Of the car, I have to work while the sun is out, so automatically I have to be aware when the sun rises and sets. That's why I drive so long. Driving all around Florida, you notice the sun out for 10 hours during the day, but before I came here to St. Louis, I was in Gaylord, Michigan, where I was surprised to see that the sun is out over 14 hours. Not as sure if this helps Daniel or Rob, but I just wanted to throw that out there. Nice. Nice. Yeah. I guess spring is coming, maybe. Anyway, guys, I got to get out of here. Joel Friday TV is coming up next. Peace in the Middle East, or at least in your hearts. Maybe. Bye.